Oops, we're on.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Come on in. It's time for
Behind the Scenes with Terry Liz MacAlmon.
She would be Liz, I would be Ter.
Yes, that's a safe.
Those of you who are tuning in probably knew that already, but it is great to be with everyone. Doing this a week early because next week we will be out of town enjoying just a little bit of R&R. We both need a little getaway, and so we're getting away.
A mini one, but it's good.
This
good
was
enough.
her idea. Tell them where we're
We're
going.
going to upstate New York to where the MacAlmons hail from.
Yeah, that's true.
So I figured since I haven't seen that part of the, believe it or not, I was born in the city, so I haven't seen that part of New York yet, and being that his family's from there, I said, hey, why don't we go up there for like a long weekend, and I would love to see where they used to live and vacationed and all of that.
Right, my grandfather had a cottage on the Finger Lakes. That's a bunch of lakes that are kind of shaped like a hand, and so they call them the Finger Lakes. And every couple of years we would drive from Kentucky, where my dad worked and we were raised, back up to New York, where he came from, to Grandpa's cottage, and we would go water skiing and fishing and have the time of my life. And so Lizzie's never been able to see that. We're going to go back up there. Going to spend a whole day on the lake on a pontoon boat that I've rented. I can't wait for that because I love boats.
And also this time of the year is when some of the leaves on the trees are turning,
right? They
Well,
should be starting to turn, yeah.
So that'll be beautiful too. It's so beautiful in the parts of the country where that happens. So looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you know it? A couple of days ago, I'm walking into my bedroom and not really thinking or in too much of a hurry, and I ended up spraining my pinky toe, which I've
She
done
did.
in the past. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I've been kind of like dealing with that for the last 3 days or so, keeping it taped, and as rigid as possible so I can heal enough for next Wednesday when we take off. So wouldn't you know it?
She'll be fine by then, right, everyone? Let's just agree that she will have total mobility in pinky toe.
I'll be better anyway. But anyway, we're still going, so it's not like we need to cancel or anything.
Right. Thank goodness. I've worked harder this summer on this project than on any project, and I tell you what, it gets to you after a while, and I need some time away from anything that matters except a boat ride.
When he came home on that 5th day from being
last
in
week.
Nashville, yes.
So last week.
His eyes were, he was bleary-eyed. He just looked the most exhausted that I've ever seen him. I was a little concerned. But thank God, since he's been home, I've been forcing him to rest. And he keeps telling me, I have to work. I'm like, no, you have to rest. And so he's
they're like
pretty rested up by now.
They're like up to 14-hour days, and it's not just the 14-hour day, which is really crazy long. It's 14 days of concentrated music, listening. The first day was just recording with a group of 11 singers for 4 hours, then going to the other studio to begin the mix. But it's intense stress because I had 8 songs for them in 4 hours. Well, that's nearly impossible. As it turns out, we got 7 of them done. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you a little behind-the-scenes video today, if I can find it. Liz mic's a little low. Let's see if we can fix that a little bit. We've already got her pumped. Let's try that. Okay? You could have this, up here.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I know somebody mentioned that my mic was a little low. Let me know if I sound clearer or louder now. That would be great. Thanks.
So in Nashville, I hired, they're called the 10-2-6 music group. I don't know what those 3 numbers represent. Obviously something to them. And I snuck in the inner studio where they were working. I was working in the control room, listening with the other producer, saying, can you do this? That didn't sound quite right. Can we fix this? And he's giving directions to them. But I did sneak in just for a couple of minutes to record just one little blip of them singing. This is just 11 singers. Now you don't hear the orchestra or the keyboard or anything like that because they're listening to that in their headphones. But I'm going to sneak up here to the camera and just let you watch this just for a second for you behind the scenes fans. Let's see.
Right there, so we can see the window.
Can they hear? All right, we'll stop it there. Isn't that cool? So they sang that, their 11 voices, and then they go back to what they call stacking. So they'll sing that same part again. That song was the title cut of the album, which is Your Kingdom Come. That song alone, folks, is worth the price of the album. There is power, there is anointing on this thing. Wait till you hear it with the 50-piece orchestra and it's just phenomenal. It really is. It blesses me, and I've heard it so many times it shouldn't bless me at this point. Still gives me goosebumps. That last crescendo section. So anyway, that's what we did on Tuesday, then on all day Wednesday and all day Thursday and most of the day Friday. Tanner Lennox and I just mix. That means you put everything together and you say there needs to be more strings, less brass. I can't hear my vocal there. My vocal's too loud there. And this goes on and on and on and on and on. And we're still actually doing it long distance. It's still being done. I thought it was done. It's not done. Should be done in the next few days, that portion of it. Then we'll take that, and when I get the artwork finished, we'll send that to the duplication plant, and they will put the artwork and the audio together, and we'll have a product for Christmas, hopefully. That's the plan, and we are able to do that because of your gifts. I see his song saying, will your Glory partners be able to prepay for the new CD? Oh, I thought they were saying, have your Glory partners paid this? So many of you have donated to this, some small gifts, some large gifts, all gifts that God has just blessed us with. And that's been why I've been able to do this project. It's approaching $40,000. That's all there is to it. And but it's for the glory of the kingdom of God. It's for the rest of the time on earth. These are not live. This is not a live service, as you can see. This is a studio project, but when you hear it, you get the feeling of more than just a guy in a studio. There's just something on it. So I'm thankful for every gift that's come in to help us with this. If you still want to send some, that would be wonderful. Liz is singing on the new project. One song she sings a duet with me. It's a medley. Then she goes into singing a section by herself. And then we come back in together. And that's fun. I think she had a good time doing that. She sounds fab on it.
Thank you. And getting back to what Terry was saying about the singers, for the time we've been married, I've been saying, you know what, I haven't heard you with a choir or with a choir sound. And I just think that his music begs for that type of sound. And so when he came home and he listened to the clip with him singing, and I was like floored. I was like, this is it. This is what you were supposed to sound like.
She's been wanting that for 10 years.
For like day one. So I'm anxious to hear the completed CD myself. So.
And when you hear those 11 voices and 11 more voices and 11 more voices, you'll think it's probably a 60 or 70 voice choir. It just sounds
Can't wait.
fabulous.
Yeah.
So really, really pleased that that came together like it did. It was just a great time. It really was, but so much work. You know, some of it's the physical work, but as I say in the notes of the album, of my little personal notes on the inside of the CD, if you buy the CD, you get all that kind of stuff. You get all the lyrics printed out, because the last song I do is called Someday. That's a bonus track that comes after all this worship is done. That's a classical instrumental song with piano and orchestra. But I wrote some really special words to it, and a bunch of them, because it's a long, long song. On the album, it's 9 minutes and 25 seconds. That's the longest song I've ever written in all of my years of music. So, yeah, you'll get that. But I forget why I was bringing that up. I don't know where I was going.
Are you ready for some questions?
Oh, absolutely.
I think they've heard enough about the CD.
You see, that's on my mind, though. It's,
I know.
oh, what I was saying was there's like hundreds of hours of thought that goes into this. Just mental thought, staring at a blank page or staring at a lineup of songs and going, that flow. I had to take one of the songs off the album because the flow just wasn't happening. We'll save that for probably, if there is a next album, we'll save it for that album. That's the one that was No One Like You. How could any love be any deeper? How could any grace be any greater? It's a wonderful worship song. It just didn't fit with where we were going, and so I felt like we needed to, and that was the one song the singers didn't get to, so next time we would put them on top of that and make it a complete song. Anyway, that's kind of how that went. And so, Liz, what do we have for questions? And by the way, welcome to all of you. We didn't call any of you out, but I see your names here, and it's so good to have you joining us today. All right, Miss Liz.
Well, the only question I have here, you guys have to send in your questions, type them out, whatever you need or would like to know about Terry and the ministry. I have Jordan here who says, hi, brother and sister MacAlmon. Brother MacAlmon, did you write Icing praises to your name?
I did, Jordan, just about 100 years ago this year. I did. I wrote that, and that song, when the producer for that 11 group of people that never knew who I was, when he introduced me to them, he said, Terry wrote Icing praises. It's like my calling card. I wrote that back in probably 1987. And 97, it's like 34 years ago.
At least one child ago.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, my youngest was 1 year old. Pat will tell you about pre-ordering. Partners, you can pre-order the CD and it will be shipped to you as soon as we have it in here that same day or the next day. We would love to have your pre-order. They will be $15 each. If you want to buy 5 of them, this is what I've done in the past, it will be $60 for a 5-pack. If you want to buy 10 for Christmas presents, you get that for $100, which is only $10 a CD. And that will help us recoup the many, many costs of this project and continue the music that we do every week for you guys.
Okay.
His song said she's glad that we're putting lyrics in because she has a hearing challenge and can't always understand the words. I'm the singer and I can't always understand the words.
You wrote them.
I wrote them. Sometimes I can't remember all the words. Yeah, so we start the album with a really happy song. Lord, you've been good to me all of my life. That one is one of my favorites on the album. Robbie Russ loved the harmony. Don't you though, Robbie? I'm telling you, they are fabulous. And Liz, she said, man, She says, the guys sound like the girls. I said, it's because they sing together
Oh my gosh.
all the time, like every day.
Like what is it, high C's, high B's?
Well,
I mean,
definitely
they
in the
were-
upper register.
They were up there right along with the ladies. Beautiful.
And, you know,
Smooth.
they listen to each other, so it's like I'm matching your pitch, which is what you do in an ensemble. You don't want to stick out and be heard above the others. You want your voice, and they will change the inflection of their voices to match each other's tones, and that's how they get such a cohesive sound. And then you've got the gal on the far right, as you were looking, is the very high soprano. She can screech up there.
I could have done that.
Of course you could have, dear. My contralto wife here, who sings down in the Karen Carpenter land, probably could fake it up there. No telling. She's very talented.
Anyway, I have Jesus Freak saying, God bless my daughter Valeria is 14 and she loves your praise and worship. She listens to your music every night to go to sleep. Can you give her any advice in how to get deeper with the Lord?
Well, if she's listening to music when she goes to sleep, that has to be a help. I mean, that's planting something in her little spirit as she fades into Never Never Land. So that's a real good start there. Fill your mind with Christ and those things that are like Christ. And anointed music certainly is a good thing. I can't give you advice. It's just, we all need to make him always our first love. Forsake those things which want, let those chains that would so easily encumber us fall off. So that we can be more like him, be more close to him. And that's a challenge, not just when you're a little girl, but when you're a 66-year-old man. Not that I'm 66. Well, okay.
Or more so in your teens. I
Yeah.
mean, you go through a lot, especially if you're going to public school.
You do, but
in today's time, oh my gosh.
But you go through it all through of life. I mean, my Aunt Jeannie, who died 4 or 5 years ago, one of the most godly people that I knew, one of the most learned persons of the Word without going to Bible school. She knew more than most Bible school grads. She said, you get to parts in your life, and she was in her mid to late 80s, and you question things. Well, that's just look how much you and I have changed over the years of our life and our theological positions. I felt exactly opposite of what I feel right now when I was in my teens. I transitioned a little bit in my 20s to a belief system, not anti-Christ at all, but just different facts of the way we interpret the scriptures. I felt different in my 30s, and I tell you, different in my 40s, and I feel different in my 60s. So we go through all kinds of metamorphosis and change and transition, all in trying to find out exactly what Christ meant when he said this and what Paul was referring to. Was he addressing the first century church that had certain things that were not good? Or was he addressing the entire body of Christ for the entire time that we are alive? Those things are something that you and I are processing all the time. So this is a process. It totally is a process. And I'm excited to continue to follow him and try to know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings. That part we don't like to think about, but we don't know what lies ahead of us. I do know this. Don't focus on a fatalist mentality. We shall overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So don't ever let the negativity of today's current events pull you down. That's the enemy's way to make you think there's no hope. You might as well be depressed. We're all going to go to hell in a handbag. That's not the way it's going to be for those of us following Jesus. Yes, times are going to get hard, but the intensity of the Holy Spirit is going to grow, and we're going to see great revivals in the last days. Some nations are already seeing it. I heard of a great outpouring of God someplace in Africa that's taking place. Just hundreds of thousands of people getting born again. So that's a great thing to focus on. What I said on Wednesday night, whatsoever things are pure, honest, of good report, lovely, worthy of praise, any excellence, dwell, keep your mind on these things, and you and I will live a much happier, productive, and peaceful life if we do that. Even in the times of storm around us, He can give us peace in the midst of that storm. Amen.
All right, so I have Robbie Russ. Speaking of range, what is your range, if I may ask? I know you're a tenor and tend to sing higher than my baritone voice, but I love it. So on a good day, what is your range?
On a good day, I'm still a first tenor, but I was a lot higher when I was young. So.
Now, why is it that as you get
I don't know.
older, your voice, in terms of how high it used to sing, it tends to lower? Is it because this is aging? I mean, I'm really interested. Why? Because I think I asked you that last week. Why does that happen?
I don't know. As you get older, I believe your voice, I know it lowers because I've listened to pop singers change keys for their hit songs in their concerts.
When they sing live, they tend to bring it down because they have to.
Right. So I am a baritone as I'm talking right now, but when I sing, I still push it up to what I would consider a first tenor.
In the very early morning, he's a bass.
Yeah, she kind of likes that when I talk really low. And as you get older, it's more difficult to control the amount of vibrato in your voice. I've noticed that many times and been taught that. So I try to work hard not to get too warbly in the vibrato department. But that's something you have to concentrate hard on. And see, I had perfect pitch all through my childhood. That is a gift. You don't develop that. It's just a gift. That means if you sing a note, I know exactly what that note is without going to the piano and plunking it out. If I don't see a piano and somebody hits a note on that piano, I can tell you exactly what that note is.
Let me just say, he's told me this from the very beginning, and I didn't have or understand what perfect pitch meant. And I thought it meant that he can never sing off key. He can never be off pitch. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. How
Bless her, Lord, bless her.
So he says, no.
No, it's not that at all.
Yeah.
You can still go flat or sharp.
Yeah.
It's just that you realize you're going flat or sharp because of your ear. However, what I wanted to say, something I learned is that when I got to around 50, 55 years old, I noticed that perfect pitch, which is a gift, started falling, believe it or not. And I thought, this can't be. I've always known what a B flat and an E flat and an F sharp is. And I would start singing that in my head and realize I was about a half a step short, flat of that. Then I heard a guy named David Foster, who is a very, very well-known, famous producer, arranger, writer, who has, he discovered Celine Dion, he discovered Josh Groban, he's discovered everybody who's ever been discovered and produced them. And he was doing an interview and he said, my perfect pitch went flat when I got to 50. And I thought, it's true. And I bounced it off another friend of mine, Klaus Kuhn, who also has it. He said the same thing happened to me. So you see, you never know what getting older does. That thing which you would think would be a gift forever, changes a little bit. Maybe other gifts in your life wane a little bit. Wow. I don't know. That was interesting to me. So I have to really, I think about what pitch that is, and I think, okay, is that, or do I need to really think hard? That's about a half step higher. That probably means nothing to most of you. It means a lot to me.
Okay, I have a question from either PJ or Robin or both. Hi, guys. When I think of your ministry, longevity definitely is a word that comes to mind. What has been the key for your longevity?
I don't know. If I don't do this, I'd probably be selling golf clubs in a sporting goods store. Guess what? This is better. This is better. I think the longevity is realizing who you are and who you are not. I am a piano player and a singer, and everything that comes from my ministry is because of His anointing, not because of my talent. So if you don't think too highly of yourselves and you let praise come from someone else's lips and not your own, how I wish certain people in the world would learn that valuable lesson. You'll go along a lot longer. Because if you get yourself all puffed up, you're going to pop at some point, because it's only a matter of time till you realize you were not God's gift to the free world. So
But I think it's your type of worship too, I think. It's the type of worship. That inner, deep kind of worship tends to be more long-lasting because it seems to be the one that reaches, as opposed to what's trendy.
Well, right.
What's in, and
And those of
only
you
for a time.
who have followed my music know my music is not contemporary and it's not old-fashioned.
Right.
It's Terry.
Right.
This is Terry MacAlmon. This is the music of heaven that the Lord gives me. So it's never been anything that radio stations want to play because it's not contemporary pop enough
Which
for
is
the
what I'm
for the
saying.
culture.
Yeah.
And it's not been the kind of music that old-fashioned stations that only play hymns want to play because it's too radical for them. It's intimate worship, the way that the Lord gives me, fashioned to my heart.
Prayerful type of worship.
Yeah, it is. It's
And I think that is where the secret of the longevity is, in my opinion. So,
it is. Bernadette Warden loves our background. Well, thank you. We try to keep it fresh here. So lately you've seen 2 or 3 different backgrounds. I think I've got one more back in the warehouse
it's
that
the
I'll
artistic side of it.
that I'll pull out just so we don't see the same scene every single month. I don't like looking at it. I like variety. Let's see.
Right. Hey, Rhonda's on. Hi, Rhonda.
My niece Rhonda. Nice to have you on the program today, Rhonda, coming in from Nixa, Missouri. One of my, let's see, how many nieces do I have? I don't know. 3 or 4. I don't know. Great to have you here.
Robbie Russ says, wow, interesting. I know about male voices lowering from personal experience in talking to others, but I've never heard about the perfect pitch detuning. I don't have that gift. So, yeah.
Well, it's a great blessing, and sometimes it's a great curse. When I used to be a choir director, Robbie, we had to go over to this choir member's house for our rehearsal one night. And I forget, something was going on at the church where we couldn't use that piano in the sanctuary or whatever. So we go over to this person's house, this was back in the 70s, when I was all of probably at that time 21 years old. Yep, that's exactly what I was. All right. We go over to this person and I sit down at the piano and all the choir's there with their music, and I start playing, and the piano was out of tune so bad it was like a half a step out of tune. I played one chord on it and I couldn't go to the next chord because my ear already said, when you hit these keys, this is the sound that should be coming out. A C chord. Instead, a B natural chord was coming out. And my computer up here could not process that. And they looked at me. I said, I can't play any songs. They looked at me like, you're a fantastic piano player. You can play anything at church. Come on. And I said, I can't do it. I cannot play this piano. So that's the curse of perfect pitch, where somebody who has just learned the keys to play can play no matter what sound comes out, because it's like hitting a typewriter. But if you were typing and those keys that you learn on the typewriter were a key off, you'd be in trouble. So now you know what I went through. All right? I hope that makes some kind of sense.
Okay, so PJ or Robin is asking me if I have a favorite Terry song. Actually, I've never heard any of his songs. I'm only kidding.
That's almost true. She never listens to my music.
True. Not true. Anyway, yes, I do.
I'm developing a complex.
I have.
Tell them the first song.
Wait.
Oh,
It was my question.
okay. I'm going to take a drink.
Anyway, so the one that always sticks out because I have it on my phone as my alarm is "I Will Never Let Go of Your Love" from the For the Bride, which I absolutely love. And the other one that comes to mind is "Heal Me." It's a very simple song, very simple lyric, but it's just so powerful. I love that song. And I have, other ones that I like too, But it's true. I haven't heard every single song of every CD. I have. But the ones that stick out that touch me. But I do have others.
But the first song you heard back on internet
that was,
radio.
"Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus," but that's a
Right.
hymn. I already knew that.
Oh,
It was-
yeah.
it was
Oh, that
yours.
wasn't my song. It was
yours,
performed
yeah,
by
but
me on
that
that.
was the first one.
That's when she came in contact with
Before I heard him online
my
for the
music.
first time, I knew nothing about his music. So yeah, but can't take credit for that one.
No, I wish I would have written that one. I love
Oh, it's
playing it and
beautiful.
love singing it. Hmm.
Sarah Nyberg is saying, "Hey Terry, do you have any recommendations of songs that help ease off anxieties and fear? I personally been getting panic attacks, and I'm trying to find songs to calm me." Well, before he answers, the song "Heal Me." Oh my gosh, you just put the headphones on and listen to that, and just completely meditate. It just whatever may be ailing you will help ease that off of you. But I'll let you answer that since she directed that to
Right, that was my question. Kidding. Boy, Sarah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people listen to different ones of my CDs just for the peace effect. I understand the anxiety thing, I really do. I didn't write In the Presence of Jehovah, but that's on my You're My Glory album, and that has blessed so many people for so many years. It's also, you can always find it right through YouTube. You don't have to buy the album at all. So many of my songs are on YouTube. So that is, that's a tough thing to deal with. But you know what? The Lord is with you, and just put on something anointed, especially at night when you're resting and ready to go to sleep. It really will benefit you. It really will. Even So, one of my songs, Even So, from the live worship album. A lot of people have been really ministered to by that. On my last album, All the Glory, that healing song was... He heals all my diseases. He gives strength to the weak. That song has touched a lot of folks and continues to. So songs like that, you know, find a few songs like that and put a little playlist together so you can go from one to the other, and just ask the Lord to just calm you during those things. He'll do it. Tommy Taylor says, my favorite is Made Me Glad. Yep, I'm planning on singing that this coming Wednesday night, Tommy. So tune in for Made Me Glad. I love that Merriam-Webster song. I've sung it hundreds of times.
Yes, you have.
And it blesses me. And it's blessed Liz too in those live services. Bernadette found Quiet Times. That's a little classical edge there. You see, when I was a young boy, my older brother kept playing this Rachmaninoff song. By the way, my song Someday on the new album, the bonus track at the end of the album that I mentioned earlier, is written in Rachmaninoff style. Sergei Rachmaninoff was a fabulous writer, pianist. And so this is kind of written in his style. So my brother kept playing this one piece, Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2 in C minor. Again, information you probably don't care about. And I just learned to appreciate some of those romantic movements in different parts of that long classical piece. And so I just have a bit of a fascination with certain kinds of classical music. I don't listen to much of it ever, but that song Quiet Times is taken from Debussy's da 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 da.
Not Claire de Lune, right?
Yes, Claire de Lune. Thank you. You see, when you've been in Nashville and you've been working as much as I, the brain just goes Claire de Lune. And I love that beautiful, haunting melody. And so I took that and based a Christian song then off of that. And I enjoy playing that one just by myself in my quiet times, in my private times. Sarah says, "You are my hiding place." Yes, I've never recorded that, but I've loved that song through the years. You are my hiding place.
Wow, that's a
Beautiful,
long one.
beautiful.
Was that late 80s?
Oh,
90s?
80s at the most, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even earlier. Yes, yes, yes.
Any other questions, guys? Feel free.
Madeline thinks that our color matches look really good today.
We didn't
What?
even plan that. I
that's-
just ripped something off the hanger because I have to keep this in mind since it's so dark.
I
and
said
just
to her,
coincidentally-
I said, wear light. Don't wear dark today or nobody will see us
Yeah.
because we have a dark background. But don't you like the background? Oh, I already
I
did
think
that.
we already addressed
I
it.
see. Okay. We're stretching it out here.
Jordan is asking, Brother Terry and Sister Liz, have you ever been to the Andy Griffith State to minister? Oh, I'll let you answer this, babe, since you know every brick and mortar of the television show.
Here at Mayberry Studios, we do enjoy the Andy Griffith Show. If I could turn the cameras around, you would see my Barney Fife wall over there that's got all kinds of shots of Barney Fife. Over here on this wall, it says Mayberry Studios, and it's got more pictures, one from my friend Gavin MacLeod, who was a guest star on the Andy Griffith Show and just graduated to glory a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I have ministered several times in North Carolina, where the fictional town Mayberry was kind of created, because Andy Griffith came from a little town in North Carolina. So I've ministered there, different parts of the state, but never really around that Mayberry area. Liz and I went back there a couple of times now. Or
Has it been a couple of times?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Yep,
Twice.
just to kind of walk through. It's Mount Airy, North Carolina, and it really doesn't resemble Mayberry all that much. They just have a lot of stores that show
Tourist type.
Mayberry type things, and the Andy Griffith Museum is there, so that's fun to walk through and
Yeah.
see some
Yeah, the
memorabilia
desk,
and-
genuine desk.
yeah,
the
things
sheriff's
like that.
Desk, the sheriff's, the court door. You know, it's kind of like a
Yeah,
mimic.
it's a silly thing, but
Yeah,
it's
if you're really into the show,
it is
it's
such
fun.
comic relief for me to watch Don Knotts as Barney Fife create what I think was the best character portrayal in a comedy in the history of television. I don't think anybody ever did a character better than he did, Barney Fife. So it's brought me, to the sickening of Liz, it's brought me so many hundreds of hours of belly laughter. She goes, "How can you laugh? You've seen this 40 times." It's fresh every time. I don't know. You appreciate the artistic ability. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not even thinking about the jokes anymore. I'm looking at how well these people portrayed these characters. So
Okay, so that concludes the Andy Griffith Show.
that's that. And I'm sure many of you are closer to God now for knowing that valuable information.
PJ is saying, this is not a question, but Symphony of Love is one of the most beautiful songs on the Refreshing Volume 2. That's just a compliment. And then he also asks, will you be coming to South Africa in 22? We know it's difficult traveling in the times we're currently living in. Oh, I wish we could. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the last time we saw you. We were hoping we were going to see your baby just as, it was just, a few, months old or weeks old,
All right.
whatever. But
I tell you, PJ, the churches need to open back up, and then we'll get invitations down there. But we actually have airline tickets that are set aside, ready to go for another return trip to South Africa, maybe a finale tour down there or something. Times are changing so much, I don't know.
situations,
But we don't want to go
keep
down there if
changing.
they're only allowing 50 or 100 people in a church service. So.
right, and prerequisites, to travel there, you know what I mean? So we just don't know.
Yep, pray for South Africa. They need the churches to open up. The churches need to rise up and claim their freedom and their
And all that's going on there.
their liberty to meet as worshipers, and so much going on there.
Sayoko's asking, how many songs have you written? What percentage of your songs on your CD were written by you? Percentage.
On the new
I
CD,
guess
or
your songs over, guess you're overall, you're like,
Well, overall, on all of these albums, probably 90% of the songs are my songs. I usually include one or two on an album that are not my own. Maybe one album might have three, but usually one or two. This new album, I'm doing 2 songs that are not my own. The other 9 are mine. So there you go. Grateful that the Lord shares melodies with me so that I can share them with you in the body of Christ, and hope that that continues. I love writing what I consider heaven's melodies as He gives them to me.
mm-hmm. All right. Sean O'Connor is saying hello from England, London, England. Praise the Lord, dear friends. Terry, I just love your music.
Sarah Nyberg says, a question for Miss Liz. Has anyone told you that you sing like a famous singer, like Sandy Patty or Amy Grant? You did?
No, I did address that one here.
Oh, you didn't speak it.
I explained to her that, just to be clear, I haven't sung with Terry until, 2012, 2011.
Right, but she's heard you. She's heard you here.
Right, but I think she's probably comparing me to the CDs of old, which before 2010.
Well, I had another singer named Liz.
That's why.
Yeah, I had another singer named Liz who sang and traveled with me for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, back in the early 2000s. But she can emulate Karen Carpenter if you're old enough to remember that beautiful low voice of Karen Carpenter. Liz, and when she wants to, I could close my eyes and think Karen was in the house. So she does. She has a beautiful voice. She just doesn't like to sing out front of the camera very often.
Okay, on to the next subject.
Oh, brother.
Barbara's saying, in the midst of all the problems in the world we live in, your music is a glorious instrument that takes us into the secret place of the Lord.
And very kind. Who said that? Barbara?
Barbara Salter, yes.
Thank you so much, Barbara. She also said that Icing praises comes into her spirit and leads her into glorious fellowship. Boy, I tell you what, that little simple chorus that I wrote on a Sunday night back in 1987, God has just used that and used that and used that around the world for, 34 years now. And people still get blessed with it. People still sing it. That long ago, it's one of heaven's songs. The night that I taught it, people started singing it while I was teaching it, as if they already knew it, and of course they didn't. But it was so singable and so easy to pick up on and go with. Those are the songs, you've heard me say it, that God uses, because people don't have to concentrate on 4 verses and 400 words. They can just let worship be the main thing, and that's kind of how it's supposed to work.
Mm-hmm. Sean O'Connor says, pray for a revival in America, a revival like the Duncan Campbell revival in the Hebrides, I think, in the island of St. Louis in Scotland. Amen. Do you know what that is?
I do not. I've been to Scotland only one time, but not there. I don't recognize that. But it is, we're in need of revival so many places.
All over the world. How about that?
When we hear the last song, Your Kingdom Come, that really is focusing on that very thing, revival. I close that whole, as it's fading out, I close that album by saying, we need revival, it's now or never, Lord, because we are reaching that point where we need an absolute turning over of the tables. We need this outpouring of God's power, love, presence, conviction, and salvation.
Yes, and I just want to interject and say, and we're not speaking just of America. I was talking to Terry the other day saying that sometimes as Americans we tend to think that the world is just, us, in America, but no, it's that revival that he's speaking of is needed worldwide, because every country is going through something. So,
it's true.
So, we don't want you to think that we're so,
there's a pandemic, all right. It's a pandemic of sin, not so much the sickness as the sin, not short-sighting the awful disease.
Right.
But I hope you're all taking, for a moment from Dr. Mack here, vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, and plenty of it, because those are the best
Homeopathic.
defenses against that thing attacking you. And if it does attack you and you've got that kind of immune system built up, you will not experience, most likely, the bad side of corona. You just won't.
Corona or any virus that
Or any
yeah,
virus.
even a cold, it won't last as long. You know, you'll have, like he said, strong defenses against it. So it does work.
Before I was taking that stuff, I was getting a cold 2 to 3 times a year. That is the bubonic plague for a singer, because a cold just doesn't last those 5 or 6 days. It messes with your throat and your lungs for weeks. And that was happening to me. She will tell you. And when I started higher doses of vitamin C, 3,000 or 4,000 milligrams a day, everything changed. Good vitamin C, not just off the counter at a cheap retail store. Get good vitamin C that's made with good ingredients. I always order through a place called PuritansPride.com, and they have great products all the way up and down their lines. They make them well, they package them well, and I've been very successful with that. They don't pay me to say that, but please, I think what we're finding out as another side of this whole pandemic virus, it's revealing those of us who have not taken care of ourselves the way we should.
Right, which is what I was going to say.
Yes, those of you that are at health risk need to be very careful. But we need to take this as a real wake-up call to do better with our bodies.
Yes, be more mindful about what you eat and the kind of synthetic things that we're putting in our bodies with, you know, the products that are put out, unfortunately, out in our supermarkets, you know, the chips and all of those, you know, synthetic, you know, things that we eat, the carbonated drinks with the high sugar and the high salt of foods in restaurants or in processed foods, you know, things like that. Because you can supplement to Kingdom Come, but if you're not eating a well-balanced meal of fruit and vegetables and, you know, more of what your body needs, and all the supplementing is not going to work. So it works hand in hand.
It
Good
does.
supplementation, but also good eating habits and being careful about what you eat on a daily basis as far as your diet.
It doesn't mean never to have your favorite food. It just doesn't mean to have all of them all the time.
Right, on a daily.
And try to get enough iron in your body. And we were taking iron tablets and realized we were taking too much iron because we didn't realize that you're only supposed to have X amount, and this particular tablet had high amounts of iron, so
Right.
we backed off of that.
And the reason why we did is because I read that if you eat a balanced amount of vegetables, especially like spinach, you know, things that have a natural enrichment of iron, you don't really need to supplement iron. And so at home, when I'm
Right.
cooking, I make sure that is present on our table, and so we didn't need to supplement with iron.
Janie Foster, it's PuritansPride.com.
And there are other companies too that are just it's not just them. But, you know, do homework, you know, go on Google and see
Right.
best rated.
But they have a lot of good deals too. I mean, you buy 2 vitamin C's and you'll get 3 free, kind of a thing. So and they just really use good ingredients, which is so paramount. Okay.
Yeah.
And Liz does a great job in preparing healthy foods, and that is important. And I'm
Yes.
grateful to have a homemaker that does that. I really am.
Thank you. Let's see. Madeline says, Terry, I am really inspired by the story about the values you taught your sons, PDR, I believe. I shared it with
Yes.
my teenage daughter who plays basketball. Thanks for sharing. Yes, that's such a wonderful, wonderful story.
PDR was passion, discipline, and responsibility.
Yes.
And that's what I tried to instill in my 3 boys, who are all athletic and all competitive. And sports teaches you so many lessons in life. And it teaches you that there are great victories and there are great defeats. And you suffer great sorrow in those defeats if you're committed to the sport. and you suffer great jubilant joy, or you celebrate great jubilant joy with victories. But life is full of wins and losses. If anybody tells you different, they're not playing with a real set of cards. So just plan on it. In this world, you'll have tribulations. He's overcome the world, and that's why we stick with Jesus. But I'm thankful for the victories. I hate the defeats, but those defeats did not end us. They just make us stronger if we continue to walk with God. We win if we continue to walk. We lose if we give up the race, all right? It's not to the swift, it's to those who continue the trail, the quest, the race.
Tamara is saying, hi Terry, you mentioned C minor. I care because I have been studying piano. I worship to your music every morning. Do you give piano lessons?
I do not. Why is that, Terry? Well, nobody ever taught me how to play the piano. It was a heaven-sent gift practically at birth, and
that would be difficult to teach.
I would have a hard time teaching.
Yeah, you weren't taught. Yeah.
About 10 or 11 years ago, a little worship leader gal wanted me to help her, and so I tried maybe twice to help her, and she was just the nicest gal, wanted to just grow in her abilities and her singing, and I was a flop. I could not help her. I couldn't translate in what had been shown to me through just developing my own gift that God gave me. So I'm sorry that I'm just not a real help to that. There are those who can do that very well. You need to seek one out. Absolutely.
Because they probably learned the traditional way of being taught. Is that why?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Makes sense.
Sometimes you can learn to read notes, but you can't develop your ear. Some people develop their ear. They can't read. I'm a terrible reader. I can write orchestrations for an entire orchestra, but if you put a piano score with 8 notes stacked on it in front of me, it does not compute. So I can write it, I just can't read it. We've all got our little idiosyncrasies.
You can read reading, but you can't read writing. That was a Popeye.
See, this is what I live with. You can read reading, but you can't read writing. Where does this come from?
That was a Popeye.
Well, if we can't laugh, I don't know what life would be like.
Jerry says, I have been listening to a CD of yours with 2 of the most beautiful songs that I have ever heard. There is one and How Long. How Long is beautiful.
How Long was an unusual song that I wrote many years ago.
Yes.
Not like a typical T-Mac song. It just, I don't know, it just came. And the right voices were around me to pull it off. And it's an introspective song, it really is.
It's beautiful.
Thank you, dear. I haven't heard it for a long time. When you've done, this will be my 19th album, actually 20, but I don't count the kids album that was released back in the early 2000s because I had nothing to do with that album. I just put my voice on it after it was all done. I don't feel like it has the anointing on the album that my other ones do, so I don't count that. So since I began my career, my first album in 1982, this is my 19th album, so that's the way that worked.
Cleon says, Terry, you remind me of David dancing and worshiping before the Lord.
Well, I don't remind Liz of that because she thinks I'm one of the worst dancers in the 21st century, and she's probably not far off. But when the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will dance like David danced. I enjoy jiggling around for him in praise.
He probably danced like you, so that's why
He probably did. Oh, Dave probably wasn't a ballroom specialist either. I know he embarrassed Michael, his wife, quite a bit, and he didn't mind that at all. A glad heart makes a cheerful face.
All right, I don't want to go off on this.
Liz is a fantastic dancer, all right? There's this stuff called salsa. She used to cut a rug like nobody's business. She's gotten a little bit more sanctified now, and I don't see her do this salsa very
I
often.
don't think there's a place for it. Shut up, you. He's just teasing me. Oh, gosh.
Christian salsa, nothing wrong with that.
No, there is something wrong.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah. Kathy's asking, are you going to have written music with the new CD? Or are you going to have, like, I guess, the booklet that goes with it, I guess? Or?
Yeah, songbook.
Yeah.
You know, I'm probably going to consider that because so many of these songs, you know, they're songs that we've been singing on An Hour for Jesus. So you've got, Lord, You've Been Good. You've got, There Will Never Be Another Love for Me Like Your Love. You've got, I Have Found the One Who My Soul Loves. I love that one on the album. You've got the new one, Your Kingdom Come, which is so powerful. So I might release a songbook. That takes a lot of money, and it's just difficult. So I might release that because these are so singable for choirs. So I may hire somebody to go ahead and just write 4 parts. I'm not going to do that myself, lest I end up in the funny farm. But that's a good suggestion. We won't do it right away, but maybe a few months down the road we'll get something released and tackle that for churches. I think it would be a real tool for them. Thank you for that suggestion, Kathy. Well, we are soon coming up on the end of the program. We will be on the air this next Wednesday. I will be pre-recording that in the next day or two so that you can have a fresh program while we are enjoying upstate New York. Sean, my favorite key to play in, probably D flat. I've always been a D flat, 5 flats guy. I was a Dino fan when I was a young man, and Dino played often in D flat, and I think that's probably why I learned to play that too. We are all product of those who have come before us, no matter what we do in life. And there's nothing original. Go to the website and check out our products, make a donation if God leads you, become a glory partner as so many have done, which we're so grateful for. Sayoko wants a brief estimate when the new CD will be on sale. Well, I'm hoping this. I'm hoping that in the next 2 weeks the CD plant will have everything. And I'm giving them 2 weeks to manufacture it. I'm going to give them another 2 weeks to ship it to our office. So I'm going to realistically, honestly say the latest, November 15th. The earliest, November 1st. All right? That pocket. And if a miracle happens, a little bit earlier than that, but at least it will be something that will be purchasable for Christmas this year, which I didn't think was even possible when I began it. But again, a lot of hard work this summer and just pressing forward has made that possible. So I'm happy that it will be on sale then. It's 70 minutes long. I told you 77 in a program, but we had to cut that one song. So the worship itself is about a little over 60 minutes. And then there's that 9.5 minute bonus track. And when you get the CD, and I'll probably say this when I hold it up and share about it more, the bonus track is not like the other songs. So you almost could take that bonus track and just play it by itself when you're not even going into worship. Just let that classical sound with piano and orchestra and a little guitar and just bless you in a whole different way, because it's not the same coming out of that intense worship experience that Your Kingdom Come ends with, and intercessory prayer. I just found myself almost, and I put like 15 seconds of dead space there so that if you do continue to listen, you'll have a chance to kind of clean out a little bit. But it's almost better to just play it on its own when you're not doing the other. But you do whatever feels good. All right?
Yeah.
Well, that's about it.
I know. I think we've concluded.
You guys have been great. I'm glad you all tuned in.
Thank you for joining us.
A few thousand more will probably join in over the next few days. But it's been good just to hang with you and just be ourselves and talk a little bit about stuff that you like to hear about. And I hope that you will join us again. Come Wednesday night, and we should be for the first Saturday in November back on our regular time schedule if something doesn't come up. All right? Thanks so much for being with us today. Do visit the website and tell your friends about this. Share an hour with Jesus with everybody you know, because so many more folks need to be available to receive that outpouring of God's touch every single Wednesday at 7 Central Time. All right. We love you all. We thank you for your time today.
Have a blessed week.
Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
For now. All right.